Sonic Colors is a video game. Thanks for watching.
Finally, we can relate.
Okay, but seriously, Sonic Colors is a game that I've got a lot of fondness for. I recently just replayed the game and it's honestly been some of the most fun I've had with this franchise. So it really makes you wonder how people can constantly bitch and moan about this damn game. Metal Mouse.
Now, as a professional Sonic Colors hater, there are two options I could go for here. Let's start with the first one, that being the wholesome ending. I think Sonic Colors is super mid, but if you like it, it's totally valid. And in fact, more power to you. Good job, man. But the second option is the funnier one. Sonic Colors is the most dogshit piece of shit I have ever played in my life, and I hate the video game.
Look at this dude.
Yeah, that's the end of the bit. I don't know what else to do, man. I'm out of options.
Nowadays, a lot of people tend to see Sonic Colors as a mediocre or hell even a bad game. Woo! Made my spine tingle. And to everybody that thinks that, you're wrong! Your opinion doesn't matter! Mr. Electric, send him to the principal's office and have him expelled! So, without further ado, let's discuss Sonic Colors. Sonic Colors is the second game in the 3D Sonic Boost hexalogy. Bet you never heard of the word hexalogy before today, have you? As said before, the game continues the boost formula, which was first brought into 3D with Sonic Unleashed. Although it shares many similarities with Unleashed in Generations, Colors has a slightly different application of the boost. At its core, it does retain the boost's primary way of functioning, where you press a button and Sonic achieves high speed near instantly as a meter at the bottom of the screen begins to drain. But instead of being powered by rings and defeating enemies like in Unleashed in Generations, the boost instead is gotten from these little things called Wisp capsules. The Wisps are basically the glue that holds this game together. The game contains 8 of them in total, one of which being the White Wisps which power the boost. White Wisps are fairly dispersed around the levels to a point where they don't feel sparsely placed, but at the same time there's not an overabundance of them. Colors isn't designed like the typical boost game. You're not gonna constantly be holding down the boost button nearly as much as in Unleashed in Generations, because in Colors your boost meter is something you constantly need to be taking note of. The point of the boost in Sonic Colors is that you're supposed to make use of it only when absolutely necessary. Not to say that you can't just constantly hold down the boost button, but if you do that, you're not going to have as much in the meter for when you actually need to use it, as some alternate paths literally can't be accessed without using the boost. There are many instances in this game where using the boost on a dash ramp will take you to a completely different part of the level compared to if you just went on it normally. Or these lollipop swings in Sweet Mountain that take you to a higher path if you boost into them compared to using a homing attack. And these examples aren't really things you would immediately catch up on, which is why it's very important to conserve your boost to even see these in the first place, as it's really important when it comes to exploration, which ties into the ranking system. Sonic Colors is a game that wants you to interact with its levels to the fullest extent. Colors' ranking system is one that requires the player to basically have near full knowledge of the levels and Sonic's moveset in order to score high ranks. Because this game's ranking system is tough. The ranking system of Sonic Colors, more than any other Sonic game, is built around score. So in order to get the S ranks in this game, you have to practically be playing these stages perfectly. The game encourages the player to constantly be interacting with the level design, as a lot of actions give you a score bonus. Stuff like quick stepping, drifting, doing tricks, hell even just destroying stuff gives you a score bonus. But the two mechanics that give you the most score bonus are the Wisps and the Red Rings. Colors is a game that emphasizes exploration of its levels. Each stage has 5 red star rings hidden around them to varying degrees. While some can easily be found on the normal path, others require a bit of exploration and in some cases thinking outside the box. Each red ring gives a score bonus of 30,000 points, and since there's 5 of them in each act, that equates to 150,000 points just from red rings alone. But when you're playing the game for the first time, it's impossible for you to get all 5 red rings in some levels, as some of them are locked off behind using the Wisps. So I can understand how people get annoyed by that, and it does slow down the pace of the game just a little, but in my opinion, this kind of thing encourages replayability. As when you're playing the game for the first time, you're gonna see a red ring just sitting there and you're gonna be stumped thinking, how the hell do I get over there? But when you do gain access to that wisp later on, you can come back to that level and you're gonna be all like, oh, Oh, so that's how I get it. And the game has many instances where it does this. As the more wisps you rescue, the more the level design begins to open up. And speaking of the wisps, excluding the white wisps, each wisp has a gimmick that allows them to interact with the level design in their own unique ways. The cyan laser wisp allows you to aim Sonic in a certain direction and having him rocket off at high speed in that direction. The wisp can ricochet off walls, which increase the score bonus gotten from it. It can also be used on these crystals in order to build up score or help Sonic get through a section of the level faster. The yellow drill wisp allows Sonic to drill underground and in the water. It's really helpful in finding red rings and alternate paths in the acts. The blue cube wisp completely halts Sonic's momentum and does a huge stomp which does damage to nearby enemies and objects. This wisp is used to create new platforms out of these blue coins, which can also be used to open up level paths. The green hover wisp is one that makes Sonic slowly hover in the air, while also granting him the ability to lightspeed dash on a trail of rings. The pink spike wisp gives Sonic the ability to cling onto walls and scale them, as well as being immune to spikes, projectiles, and a bunch of other stuff. The orange rocket wisp allows Sonic to launch vertically into the air, which then results in him skydiving. This can be used to get to higher paths and find red rings. And lastly, the purple Frenzy Wisp allows Sonic to consume everything in his path. The more things you eat, the bigger Sonic becomes, but it does come at the cost of becoming harder to control. So as you can see, each wisp has its use in both exploration of finding the red rings and building up your score bonus, which both tie into the S ranks. Now there's a very common misconception about the wisps. I've heard people say that in order to get the S ranks you have to just sit there farming the wisps, and that straight up doesn't work because the game actively punishes you for doing so. So let's say for example I want to sit here using the drill wisp in order to farm points like people say you can. The game actually has a mechanic where it just straight up stops giving you points if you take too long doing what you're doing. So you can't gain any more points for doing anything for the rest of the level. So defeating enemies, collecting rings, quick-stepping, drifting, using the wisps, red star rings, nothing. And I really like that the game does this, because if it just allowed you to sit there farming points with the wisps, there'd really be no point in having to interact with any other mechanics in the game. Okay, but what if you're the kind of person that doesn't really care about all that? What if you just want to get to the end of the level as fast as possible? S rank be damned. Well, lucky you, because S ranking Sonic Colors' stages and time attacking Sonic Colors' stages are two completely different ballgames. Sonic Colors has a lot of tech that can be used in helping you get through these levels faster. And as I've said before, mastering the level design and Sonic's moveset is what makes this possible. For example, this is the first 3D Sonic game where Sonic has the ability to Batnik bounce, although it doesn't really work the same way as it does in the Genesis games, as in those games, in order to Batnik bounce and get launched into the air, Sonic has to have already gained speed from his descent before he hits the enemy. In Colors, it works by simply holding the jump button as you go on top of an enemy, and this launches you really high. It's really useful in skipping many of the vertical platforming sections people complain about with this game. Sonic's stomp in this game actually carries inertia like it does in Sonic Unleashed. Unlike future Boost games, the stomp retains the momentum Sonic had from whatever he was doing in the air previously. So if Sonic was doing an air dash and you activate the stomp right after it, it allows Sonic to still move forward even though you're going downwards. That, and you begin to slide if you hold down the jump button as you reach the ground, which is something you can immediately jump out of to keep the pace going. The air boost is also a very useful tool in time attacking this game. Just like in Forces and Frontiers, the air boost can be held down for as long as you still have meter in the gauge and depending on your height. And it's pretty useful in getting past many platforming sections. As I've said before, the stomp carries inertia, so to perform most precise air boost skips, you gotta be careful with the timing of your stomp. For example, in Starlight Carnival Act 1, there's a section of the level that has 3 platforms that push you upwards. Usually you have to get onto the first one, but that one takes a lot of time to get through as the sequence ends on the second platform. But if you carefully time your air boost from this blue cube platform and land on the second platform, you don't have to waste as much time as you would if you went on it normally. But even when you don't have the air boost, the air dash is great when it comes to quickly building up speed when there are no whisk capsules around. Sonic's wall jump can be used in many creative ways to get red rings, when time attacking, or just platforming in general. A great example of using not just the wall jump, but basically every bit of tech I've mentioned before now is in Asteroid Coaster Act 3. A stage that you can beat in under 6 seconds without any glitches, just pure skill. So you can badnik bounce on this egg pond over here, and it launches you up to the side of this wall, which you can wall jump off of, and use the air dash to get into this small gap, and then use the stomp to get to the goal ring faster. Sonic also has this really cool thing where you can jump backwards without having to change his direction. You do this by jumping once when you're running, and pulling the left stick backwards as you do a double jump, which is really good for repositioning Sonic, and it saved me from falling into a ton of bottomless pits. So yeah, Sonic Colors is a game I find really fun. Especially with my recent playthrough of the game, I found out stuff about it that I'd never known about before. So thanks for watching the video. Please consider dropping a like and subscribing, and maybe you can comment down your thoughts on Sonic Colors, whether you like the game or not. So take care, and make sure to have an awesome rest of your day. Bye.
Baldy nose hair!